In 1939, a 19-year-old Hollywood stand-in clicked her heels 3 times and made history. 10 years later, she had pulled from the wreckage of a plane crash that killed 35 people. Doctors told her she'd never walk again. At 107, she's teaching dance, hula, and yoga. You know her feet, but you don't know her name. Her name is Karen Marsh Dong. Most people say she's had good genes, but what if that story is wrong? What if the things we blame for decline isn't the thing causing it? Because when researchers go looking for the genetic blueprint that separates people like Karen from those declining in their 60s and 70s, they find almost nothing. A massive study in Nature Medicine analyzed the health data from nearly 500,000 people. Genetic predisposition explained less than 2% of the variations in mortality. 2%. Genes matter, but far less than what we've been led to believe. The overwhelming majority of outcome is shaped by the conditions the body experiences over time. The body is built to restore. It just waits for the conditions that make restoration possible, which means the remaining 98% of the story is the one you're still writing right now. So what did Karen do for decades that most people stopped doing? She kept demanding things from her physical structure. You see, Karen danced for a living. It required strength, flexibility, and a continual practice of balance. When she shifted from performing to teaching, the demand changed form, but it never stopped. She was on her feet, demonstrating, moving, loading her tissues across every decade. That sustained demand is the first condition that data flags. The strongest clinical predictor of mortality aren't abstract genetic factors or genetic markers. They're functional actions. The ability to get up from the floor, carry a grandchild, stand from a chair without using your hands. These aren't just measurements. They're reflections of what the body has been asked to do because the body becomes capable of what it is consistently asked to do. Even in our 60s, our 70s, and 80s, the physical system responds to appropriately designed strength programs. The response is slower, but it still occurs. For most people, what we call aging is simply the consequence of not loading the tissues. Physical demand gives the body a reason to move, but that's only half of Karen's architecture. What kept her showing up to the studios wasn't just muscle memory, it was meaning, purpose, roles, community, her psychosocial architecture. In her youth, Karen was part of a massive creative project. She was needed. As she aged, that purpose didn't disappear. It just changed shape. Students needed her. Classes were scheduled around her. Her relevance compounded over time. Research often treats things like purpose as soft variables, but the data treats them as hard drivers of biological outcomes. A strong sense of purpose independently predicts a lower risk of disability and death, even after accounting for differences in exercise, diet, sleep, and other healthy habits. Knowing your why adds up to 7 years of life expectancies. That's what the Blue Zone researchers estimate. An empty calendar tells the body it's no longer needed. A populated one gives it a reason to keep fighting. The body follows the demand placed on it by the life surrounding it. And this is exactly why that 1949 plane crash didn't end Karen's story. Left with broken bones and a shattered career, she chose rehabilitation over retreat. And that choice revealed her recovery architecture. The difference between permanent decline and successful adaptation is rarely written in DNA. It's written in the narrative, the story we tell ourselves about what happens to us, whether trauma becomes the end of an active life or just the reset point to a new one. But even narrative needs support. Her everyday exposure had to line up with the food, the sleep, the light, the patterns that either fuel the body's repair system or undermines them. These exposures compound over years. They become the background operating system that quietly determines whether the body is repairing or falling behind. And when those background patterns align, the results become measurable. Large-scale studies published in The Lancet found that healthy lifestyle patterns were associated with a 44% lower risk of death from any cause, with the greatest benefit seen in people carrying the highest genetic risks. Adopting key lifestyle behaviors added 4.5 years of life expectancy in high-risk adults over 65 compared to those who did nothing. So get this, the system responds most powerfully to those who need it most. Karen Marsh at 107 isn't the anomaly, she is the evidence. The lesson isn't that you need to become a Hollywood dancer or survive a plane crash. The lesson is that the human body never stops listening to the signal it receives. DNA hands you a range, a deck of cards, so to speak. Where you land inside that range depends on the conditions you create by the signals you send. Karen managed to keep her system firing for over a century, but most adults start losing a critical piece of this puzzle as early as their 30s, a loss that ultimately determines whether they stay independent after 60 or spend their final years in a nursing home. And that's what we tackle in the next video.